Aujourd'hui, on a les technologies qui sont prêtes. Il faut rajouter à ça une volonté politique, une volonté citoyenne.
For us, it was very important to demonstrate that EPOG panels can be an easy access material as an active element for our buildings.
On doit impérativement être autonome en énergie le plus vite possible.
BIPV is an active element and is changing the market dynamics.
Je crois que ce qui était enrichissant aussi dans ce projet pour tout le monde, c'est que tout le monde a dû être créatif en fonction aussi de son domaine d'expertise.
It's not good enough anymore to just be sustainable, to do less bad. The problems are so big, we have to start doing more good.
Le projet Bismart est un projet européen qui a comme thématique l'intégration architecturale du photovoltaïque dans le bâtiment. Un projet qui a démarré ici dans la région neuchâteloise, en Suisse, où effectivement il y a énormément d'activités dans le photovoltaïque et notamment sur cette question de l'intégration du solaire dans le bâtiment. C'est un projet important qui répond aujourd'hui à des défis majeurs qu'on a en termes d'énergie, en termes de construction, pour pouvoir réussir notre transition énergétique. Ces 4 années de projet ont été une aventure incroyable de collaboration, d'amitié. C'est un projet inspirant et j'espère qu'il ouvrira aussi la voie à d'autres projets. C'est mon souhait, c'est un projet impactant et c'est comme ça qu'on construira notre avenir. Bismart répond à 2 questions importantes que la Commission européenne a demandé d'aborder. La première, c'est comment est-ce qu'on peut aujourd'hui de manière compétitive amener le matériau photovoltaïque comme un élément de construction, comment est-ce qu'on peut en faire un élément architectural qui soit aussi économiquement viable. Et le deuxième objectif très important de ce projet, c'est aussi de réfléchir sur quels modèles d'affaires peuvent être mis en place en Europe pour ramener cette industrie du solaire en Europe, et notamment cette industrie du solaire destinée aux bâtiments.
For me, that has been the most nourishing experience to boost creativity within an industry that has always been very traditional, but is also innovating. I think this is something that we business strategists do a lot, business consultants, is to set the common language for everyone to get understand and to be creative in the process. BIPV is an active element and is changing the market dynamics. What it means that, of course, organizations somehow are forced to change the way things have been running in the organization, not only at managerial level, but also at operational levels. And that involves a change also in the business model of not only an organization, but also of a whole ecosystem of very diverse actors, from architects to PV engineers to business strategists. So what we have to do is to see how we are able to not only create value, but also to capture it and deliver it. BIPV has a lot of value to offer. It's considered a high-value asset, not only in terms of energy efficiency or aesthetics, but also in terms of a high value of investment and a driver that can set up the standards for a stronger and more environmental economy. And that can really boost impact from a private sector perspective, setting the rules for a more competitive industry in general.
Quand il s'agit de passer d'un panneau solaire standard à un élément de construction actif, qu'on appelle élément BIPV pour Building Integrated Photovoltaics ou EPOG, Energy Positive Glazing, ça demande un changement de paradigme. Parce que le panneau actif, élément de construction, il a plusieurs fonctions, pas seulement celle de produire de l'énergie, mais également celle d'avoir une fonctionnalité comme protection de l'enveloppe du bâtiment. C'est un élément qui va protéger l'enveloppe du bâtiment. Et c'est très important de se rendre compte que c'est un élément différent que le panneau solaire standard qui a comme unique fonction de produire de l'énergie. Parce qu'en remplissant cette fonction, ça implique qu'on a dû faire des choix dans les matériaux, qu'on doit continuer d'optimiser, développer ces matériaux pour qu'ils puissent complètement jouer cette multifonction qu'il a d'éléments de construction, également esthétique de par la couleur et ce qu'on peut y amener aussi dans sa forme et dans sa texture. Ce qui change, c'est ce qu'on appelle les encapsulants polymériques, c'est les types de verres qu'on va utiliser aussi, qui sont de différentes épaisseurs, qui ont différentes textures, mais également le système de montage qui va assurer aussi à ces éléments une mécanique satisfaisante pour être un élément de façade ou un élément de toiture. Et tous ces éléments, à la fin de vie de ces panneaux, ils vont être recyclés, le verre va être recyclé, les cellules solaires vont être recyclées. Aujourd'hui, il y a peut-être que l'élément en fait, polymérique du plastique qui est utilisé comme colle pour fabriquer ces éléments qu'on ne peut pas recycler encore aujourd'hui. Le projet Bismart, c'est un ensemble de 14 partenaires de toute l'Europe qui représentent toute la chaîne de valeur de la fabrication des panneaux solaires, des encapsulants, des polymères, des tests, jusqu'au bureau d'architecture et à la construction finale de 3 démonstrateurs à Uppsala en Suède, à Oslo en Norvège et à Neuchâtel en Suisse.
I work with sustainability and innovation in Oslo Big, and one of the main assignments that I have is to overview some of the innovation projects within sustainability that we implement in our real estate portfolio. In 2019, we have been rewarded to be the sustainable capital of Europe. The goal is within 2030, up to 95% of the CO2 emission of the city should be reduced. Everything starts with the consciousness of the citizen. We are very aware that we cannot continue to work and do as we did before, to be a society which just use and throw away. So I think that the green shift, as our government they call it, it's very here, it's very present, and everybody is very aware of it. In 2017, we have been invited to Bismart consortium, which was a really significant approach to us, to BIPV market. We always wanted to increase our solar cell installation to our facade and rooftops. Queen Ingrid's Garden, it's a nursery home which takes care of people with disabilities, specifically dementia. The project is not only BREEAM Excellent certificated, but also has our Bismart project we implement now to allow ourselves to be a little bit more playful, to go from the ordinary PV panels into the BIPV panel world, where we can see that some of the coloring, some of the factors that can integrate a building better in a community, it's a very important aspect. We choose specifically this design because it's not only beautiful, but it also reflects a little bit of the Norwegian cultural roots. We have some details from the folklore background, which is really beautiful to integrate in so new technology, but also the quoting and the beautiful poetry that we have also integrated, as we have a vertical wall with 4 digital older picture on a digital print, which also will help the people with dementia to eventually remember some of the older aspects from their life, which is very nice. It looks really beautiful, and it gives this kind of particular Norwegian signature to both the project, but also to the city. For us, it was very important to demonstrate that epoch panels can be an easy access material as an active element for our buildings, which of course increase the value itself and also help us to kind of justify the wish that we have at the end of this project to mass implement this value of the product itself in more of our projects. So we are really happy to be a part of this significant Bismart project.
White is one of the largest and oldest architect practices in Scandinavia. And we've always had societal issues at the heart of what we do. We started in the 1950s with building the sustainable society in Sweden, and we're still building the sustainable society today. The job hasn't been done yet. So sustainability and enabling us to thrive and live in harmony with the planet and with nature is at the core of our mission as architects. And therefore, there is a big opportunity to reduce carbon emissions by how we design buildings and the places that we work with. We have our own target that by 2030, every project that we work on should be either climate neutral or climate positive. And that's a very big, ambitious goal. So we can't achieve that on our own. We achieve it through collaboration, both internally and externally across many disciplines. And what we see is that technologies such as photovoltaics and building integrated photovoltaics are a new technical development that can help us achieve our climate goals, both as a company and as a society. If we're going to incorporate photovoltaics as a new technology, it has to be visible, it has to be on the facade or the roof of the building, and therefore we need to find ways to integrate that in an aesthetically appealing way. And to me, that's a new architectural opportunity. And we know that society is facing enormous challenges now because of the use of energy in buildings, the use of energies in our cities. The emissions that come from the use of that energy is threatening our planet and threatening the way of survival on this planet. We know that. We can see the results of the IPCC reports. We can see that carbon emissions from the built environment sector is a threat to survival. And therefore, as architects, we think it's really critical to begin to address that challenge as a societal challenge. And we think that, in my case, that is one of the big issues of our day. How can we actually create a way of building and living on the planet that is in line with planetary boundaries? And the way we create our buildings is an answer to that question. So the aesthetic dimension is really important. Otherwise, architects won't adopt that technology if it cannot also meet that twin ambition of technical performance and architectural quality. If we can create positive energy buildings by using energy positive glazing in our buildings, that is a really interesting way for me to address that challenge. So the Uppsala office building that White has designed for our client Vasakronan, in a way has tried to address some of these challenges. And one of the first things is its location. It is located right next to the main railway station in Uppsala that connects the north of Sweden to the south of Sweden. People can get to and from this building by means of public transport very easily. So it's not increasing the amount of vehicles on the roads in Uppsala. But then once you've chosen that site, how do you create a building that responds to that location architecturally, but also environmentally? The client that we work with, Vasakronan, is funded by some of the major pension funds in Sweden. And they have ambitions to ensure that the future is good for their people that they're investing money for. So they have a joint ambition like we have in terms of improving the environmental performance of the buildings that they invest in and own. So together we had an ambition to see how far can we go with this building in terms of sustainability performance. And it starts, for example, with what the building's made from. That building has a solid timber structure and it is 7 stories high. That's the largest solid timber construction for an office building in Scandinavia. And the benefit of that is that by not using steel and concrete in the structure, you're using a sustainable material, timber, but also you're reducing the carbon emissions from the construction, the embodied carbon as we call it. Parts of the facade are covered in natural slate, which is a natural material with a low carbon impact as well. What we also then look at is how to make the building as energy efficient as possible by making sure that it's got good insulation levels, etc. And then you go further. You say, well, how can we make the energy that we're going to need to run the lighting in the building, to run the ventilation systems and the other services in the building, the electricity we need and the heating, how can we get that from renewable sources that don't have an impact on the environment? So we started to look at photovoltaics as a way of generating electricity within the facade and the roof of that building, to an extent that a large proportion of the electricity that's needed for operating the building is now generated within the facade and the roof of the building itself. So pushing the boundaries of energy production in the building, that is going in the right direction. We would like to get to the point where our buildings are energy positive. I wouldn't say it's 100% regenerative today, but we've shown some of the steps necessary along the way. And the research that we're doing together with the Be Smart project is helping us to understand that and understand what steps we can take in the future to go even further. So this building isn't energy positive, but actually the next one could be.
Marin Centre est la plus grande centrale photovoltaïque du canton de Neuchâtel. Comme ce bâtiment est iconique, on va lui ajouter maintenant une démonstration en fait, de ce qu'on peut faire avec le photovoltaïque aujourd'hui et dans le futur. Actuellement, nous produisons à peu près 40% de notre besoin énergétique. À cela va s'ajouter la nouvelle façade de démonstration et le reste des façades comme potentiel futur. L'idéal pour nous serait que ce bâtiment soit autonome en énergie. Et comment on peut y tendre? Maintenant, la réserve, en fait, c'est les façades, puisque le toit, on l'a quasiment exploité dans sa totalité. Une fois qu'on va mettre du photovoltaïque dans des parties visibles, des façades, par exemple, d'un point de vue esthétique, architectural, comment ça s'intègre, en fait, dans le paysage, cette question devient très importante. On pourrait nous poser la question pourquoi, en fait, sur un bâtiment aussi iconique, venir avec un élément de couleur. Justement, si on veut un démonstrateur puissant, c'est justement dans un bâtiment qui est déjà iconique. Et comme ça, si on le teste là et que ça fonctionne, c'est censé fonctionner un peu partout. Du moment qu'on connaît le problème, notre responsabilité, c'est de prendre les décisions qui vont dans ce sens-là. Donc oui, de tout faire ce qui est possible, de tout faire ce qui est financièrement possible, humainement possible, pour rendre nos bâtiments les plus autonomes en énergie, les plus durables possibles. On pourrait dire qu'on se positionne comme accélérateur du changement ou de la transition énergétique, oui.
Un des objectifs, il est aussi de démocratiser et de rendre accessibles ces technologies, de les sortir d'un discours purement technique ou de laboratoire ou même d'architecte et de rendre la population attentive à l'évolution de ces technologies. Donc il y a effectivement tout un pan de l'activité de Compass qui a consisté à développer ce qu'on a appelé des démonstrateurs mobiles, donc d'être par définition au plus proche de la population. Donc on a développé une exposition qu'on a présentée dans l'Art Lab de l'EPFL. Et aujourd'hui, on est un petit peu au climax du projet en présentant cette exposition en Sicile qui est à la disposition d'une population locale sicilienne et qui ultimement redistribue l'énergie captée par le soleil dans la grille de la commune. Donc on fait un peu la boucle est bouclée entre l'énergie des portraits et l'énergie captée par les panneaux qui est finalement redistribuée à la population. Et on espère que c'est un moyen de sensibiliser et d'émouvoir pour aussi contribuer à éveiller les consciences. L'émotion, c'est le meilleur moyen d'apprendre et le meilleur moyen d'être attentif à une problématique. Je pense que de s'adresser à la population la plus large possible par la communication et par l'œuvre d'art, c'est aussi un moyen de faire bouger les lignes et puis finalement aussi de convaincre les dirigeants de la nécessité de changer et de changer vite. Parce que finalement, c'est la population qui va élire nos dirigeants de demain et puis c'est aussi par eux que doit venir le changement. Alors le projet, il a déjà une localisation donc dans le sud de l'Europe, dans le bassin méditerranéen, qui a tout son sens par rapport au potentiel des technologies photovoltaïques. Il a été initié par de nouveau et encore une magnifique rencontre avec Gianluca Solimine, qui est originaire de ce village, pour donner de la visibilité à ces technologies qui sont encore malheureusement sous-utilisées dans les pays du bassin méditerranéen.
Mi chiamo Gianluca, ho 30 anni, sono originario di Oliveri, provincia di Messina in Sicilia, però sono nato e cresciuto in Svizzera. Mi occupo di sviluppo territoriale sostenibile e mi occupo di questo settore con un approccio artistico, sociale e l'obiettivo è di ripensare un po' lo sviluppo territoriale integrando i cittadini a pensare allo sviluppo del posto e responsabilizzandoli ai cambiamenti climatici. L'approccio identitario e culturale nello sviluppo di un progetto di questa ampiezza è fondamentale, ma non soltanto per un posto come Oliveri, in qualunque, secondo me, contesto del mondo è importante che ci sia una forte comprensione identitaria e culturale del posto, semplicemente per far sì che il territorio, quindi le imprese, i cittadini, la corrente pubblica e politica, possa semplicemente identificarsi e appropriarsi della tecnologia, per far sì che ci sia semplicemente una migliore diffusione. Se non c'è questa dimensione identitaria e quindi culturale, ci può essere una forma di freno allo sviluppo e all'ampliazione della tecnologia. Allora, il contesto siciliano è un contesto, a mio avviso, molto interessante da studiare, perché è un territorio che ha potenzialmente tutto per ambire a una transizione energetica, secondo me abbastanza velocemente anche. Però ci sono dei freni, delle frizioni, dei vincoli che lo rallentano e possono essere istituzionali, politici potenzialmente anche, ma anche nella comprensione della priorità delle problematiche del cambiamento climatico. Magari oggi nell'opinione pubblica, oggi forse non è dappertutto una priorità di pensare alla transizione energetica perché ci sono altre problematiche, che sono problematiche del quotidiano. Per questa inaugurazione mi sento in alcun dubbio onorato, mi sento molto piccolo di fronte alla grandezza di quello che sto vedendo per questo progetto, perché mi rendevo conto che era un progetto ambizioso, importante, complesso dal fatto che è interdisciplinare e anche internazionale, quindi deve coniugare con vari elementi sia culturali, tecnici, tempistici, logistici, insomma. Però oggi sto vedendo, parlando con la gente del posto, con la gente dell'amministrazione pubblica, con insomma le varie persone che vivono questo posto, che c'è un coinvolgimento molto importante e quindi mi fa sentire davvero piccolo di fronte alla grandezza di questo progetto e sono ovviamente riconoscente a tutte le persone che hanno contribuito a questo progetto, perché è un progetto comune non soltanto perché è fatto con il Comune di Oliveri, ma perché è un progetto comune a noi tutti che abbiamo sperimentato questo bellissimo progetto assieme.
Being involved in these international European programs gives us access to expertise from across Europe that we would not normally bring into our projects. So part of the benefit of the research has been to disseminate and share that information by showing in practice, but also by holding lectures and seminars and giving presentations about what's possible to shift the mindset of architects and our clients and others working with buildings. And some of that information and that know-how has come from the Be Smart project.
Toute l'aventure Be Smart, elle m'a d'abord offert un spectre inattendu de champs des possibles et d'actions, de développer plus de 300 mètres carrés de surface décorée avec du sens à Oslo, ou l'exposition de l'EPFL, ou maintenant Fili del Sole. Pour moi, comme créatif, c'est un champ d'expression complètement inattendu et une immense opportunité, et une grande fierté d'avoir pu contribuer à l'essor et à la communication de ce projet.
The main key takeaway is that we have collaborated very closely. We have come out with a business model consideration that is put the customer at the center, and that we will be able to scale in an economical way, BITV way more in the next projects to come.
After years of implementing and working hard, we can see the results. It didn't decrease our quality of life, it actually increased our quality of life. We'd like to help to share that knowledge with our neighbors, with the world, because it's only together that we can achieve some of the goals that we have for the future.
J'en retire une immense fierté parce que c'était un projet très important pour moi. C'est l'aboutissement aussi d'années de recherche qui ont commencé bien avant Be Smart. C'est aussi une expérience incroyable humaine, de collaboration scientifique, technique, mais aussi d'amitié qui se sont créées. J'ai l'immense conviction qu'on aura tout pour faire et qu'on y arrivera tous ensemble.